Hey, welcome back to the channel. I've got the new Nikon 600 f6.3 lens here. I've had it for about 3 weeks now. I've gone out on a couple of trips in the field and I'm going to take you along with me and show you what I thought about it. At the end, I'll give you some 100% crops and some thoughts and ideas about using the lens. Alright, let's get into it. This is great. I'm really happy right now. Okay, good to see you all. I'm out here in the Delta again. I've had this 600 PF from Nikon for about 2 weeks now, 2.5 weeks, and I've just been doing some testing. I came out again to try and get some pictures of the birds today. You can see them over my shoulder. You can hear them too, I think. But so far I've been pretty impressed with this lens. It's nice and light and it's really quite sharp. I'm going to show you some 100% crops of some of the images I've taken later in the video, but the spoiler alert is it's sharp and it's light. It makes it easy to just use all day long, so I'm pretty happy with that. It's a lot lighter than my other lenses and my other long lenses that I've had, and I really think that it's going to make it a lot easier to handhold and everything else. So you can see I can just hold it with one hand, not too much trouble, I don't get too tired. Wow, look at all those geese coming by. That's awesome. I just came out for the fly-in that's going to happen around sunset time. They're beginning to come in now, but there's, in the fields just over here, there's several thousand cranes and cackling geese and a bunch of other stuff as well. So I'm just out here now getting ready. Alright, well, I'm using my car as a blind right now. There's 4 Sandhill Cranes that came in and landed about 100 meters from me, maybe that far, maybe a bit less. So I've been trying to get some shots of them, some video of them. All right, good morning. I'm out here at Point Reyes. The sun's just coming up and I've got the 600 f6.3 lens. I want to try it out. So I came out here to try and test it out with some of the Tule Elk out here. And I see some just down the road. So I'm gonna get myself together here and try and get some shots. But yeah, I'm testing out this new 600 lens from Nikon, see how it is. I went out last weekend to do some birds a couple of days ago, and it was pretty nice for that. And then I came out here to try it with some big animals. Actually, you can hear them bugling in the background there. You hear that? Wow. All right, so I'm gonna pull out my camera and get going. The sun's looking beautiful right now, so we'll see how it goes. All right, well, I found a small group of them, but they were moving away from me. I got a few shots of them.
Nice light in the morning, but they didn't stay around for too long, unfortunately. So I'm going to keep looking. All right, well, there was a small group of them, but they were moving away from me. So I only got a few shots of them before they disappeared over the little crest of the hill that they were on. So I'm going to keep looking. I can hear some more off to my right over here, so I'm going to go see if I can get a little bit closer to those. Partial success. The lens was nice and light though. It's nice and easy to move around with, so that's good. Hey there. So I was out in the back of my garden, photographing a deer mother with two 6-month-old fawns just now, and this red-shouldered hawk came flying in just above me and sat on a branch. So I rushed out upstairs with my 600 and managed to get some shots of it. Didn't get any video because it was just for like 2 minutes that it was there, but I got some nice shots of it calling out, and yeah, so I got some deer shots this morning and then a nice hawk shot, so it's pretty good. The 600 works pretty well. I found that having the sport stabilization on with my Nikon Z7 is a little bit more effective than the regular normal stabilization, and I can shoot down at like a 100th, 200th a second if I have a solid support. I've been using a beanbag type thing for shooting the deer, and then when I was shooting the hawk I was just using it handheld. So yeah, it looks pretty good. They look really sharp, so I'll show you some of those in a moment. Alright, so a few observations about the lens. First thing is it's nice and light. It weighs about just over 3 pounds, like 1.4 kilo or something like that. So it's much easier to handhold than the bigger f4 lenses like the 600 f4 with the teleconverter, or the older model of the f6.3. It's less than half the weight of those, and so that makes it easy to carry around and use. I was able to just handhold it and shoot pretty easily without too much trouble. And you can see me I can just hold it with one hand, not too much trouble. I can hold it up. So just shooting birds of flight was pretty easy. As you can see in some of the images, the it just wasn't a problem to use it. So that's a real big advantage. Second thing is using it with the VR system. So I was using it on a Nikon 7 II, and the VR system on that was great with it. With some light support, I was able to shoot down to, you know, 1/400th, 1/200th, and with a beanbag, I was even shooting at 1/100th of a second. So the VR works really well with this lens, and I was pretty impressed with it. Using it with the autofocus, so the autofocus was pretty sharp and pretty snappy, but it did tend to move back and forth a little bit. So if you were holding it on a subject, sometimes if you hit some grass or something, it might just go back off and you'd have to bring it back down. So it does have the memory buttons on it, so you can preset distance and use that. But I found that for the most part, the autofocus worked pretty well. Using it with the wide AFC and the wide focus mode, not the spot focus, is a lot better for birds, especially for birds in flight. When you're trying to track something, if you have that little tiny spot focus lens, spot focus point, it just doesn't, you know, it's really hard to use it. So using it with the small wide field was a lot easier. If you're using it with a Nikon, that's what I would suggest. If you're using it with a Canon or some other brand, they have, I think Canon has a animal eye focus, which would work pretty well. And if you're using a Z8 or a Z9 from Nikon, you have the same thing. You can use animal mode pretty well. The Z7 has the animal mode, but I was using it just with the wider focus, not with the animal, just because it was a bird in flight. I wasn't so sure how well it would work. Yeah, so the issues some people might have is with the f6.3 versus an f4, but I was pretty happy with the bokeh from the f6.3. Obviously, if you've got something really close to your subject, you're not going to have that nice smooth background. But if you can move around and find the right angle, you can usually find something that's going to work pretty well. Overall, it worked pretty well for me, and you can see in the images that I was showing earlier that the bokeh is not too bad overall. And I think if you select your subject and your backgrounds pretty well, you can, you know, overcome that issue. It's a stop and a third, so it's not a huge difference. But yeah, the f4 is going to have a better background for you, but it costs 3 times as much. So there's that consideration. And really, that's where it comes down to with this lens. The 600 f6.3 is just about $5,000 in the US, and it weighs 3.2 pounds. The f4 600 for the Z lenses, for the Z mount, is what, $15,000 if you can get one, and it weighs 6-7 pounds, so it's twice as much and 3 times the price. So I think for the money and ease of use, this is a real winner. I'm really happy with it. I've been wanting a 600 lens for a long time, and so for me this is great. I can carry it easily in the field. I can handhold it, and if I want to use it on a tripod or with a gimbal, it works great for that too. So overall, I'd say it's a real winner from Nikon, and I think anybody who buys it will be pretty happy, especially someone who's coming from a 400 or hasn't ever used a 600 f4. This will be a great lens for you. Alright, hope you enjoyed the show, and I will see you in the next one. If you have any comments, put them in the comment section below the video and I'll try to answer them. And like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay? Take care.